Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Jeff Finch Experiment. This is part 2 of my interview with Nick Lewis. Please enjoy.
The main reason why guns hasn't been a major issue right now is because instead of mass shootings, you've been talking about all the shootings involving cops.
That's true.
So you figure it's like...
And bombings on top of that. A lot of bombings as well, which all kind of goes into
running over people in East France.
Yeah, and that's something I want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it today, is the whole Muslim thing coming on very recently with all these people and possible connections of the Muslim, quote, brotherhood and Sharia law with a lot of this racial stuff that's going on. My friend from work, who I'm going to have on the show hopefully in the near future, has been filling me in on some of this stuff that I had overlooked, and I started fact-checking some of it, and a lot of it's really good. I'll talk to you about it on the off-air, because I want him to talk about it on air.
I might have to join in on that.
It's a good one. Yeah, whenever Ryan comes over and we do the podcast, I'm totally cool with you coming over.
I came across a good YouTube video.
He's a hardcore right winger, and he really reads up on stuff. Now, I find a lot of his sources to be uncredible, and I gave him some shit about it this week when I talked to him.
Woe be unto you.
Yeah, but because just to make a long story short, everybody has been on Facebook and has seen rightwingnews.com with these crazy outlandish stories about Hillary Clinton or Trump or whoever, or certain things that are going on. And not just that one. There's a bunch of AmericanNews.com's another one. And then there's also left-wing ones as well. There's Occupy Democrats is a big one. The other 98% is a big one, left-wing, sort of conspiracy site where they release a big headline with no real supporting story, and that's what everybody shares on Facebook. I'm just going to make one up. Black man kills dog and then gets shot by cop. Okay, that's a left-wing story that probably would have never happened, but somebody made up a headline and all of a sudden it's shared and there's 5,000 people talking about it.
Black man shoots cop, gets shot by dog, and hits bat boy.
Right, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how outlandish some of these stories are. They're completely fabricated, or they take a real thing that happened and just blow it way out of proportion. And like I said, I'm just saying it goes both ways. I'm not saying it's a racial thing from me. I'm just saying that's how the media likes to portray it. And it turns that particular website or Facebook page into a completely unreliable source that's just there to get clicks. And my friend Ryan, he kind of fell in that loop a little bit with some of those right-wing versions of those sites. And I've been busting his chops about it. But I have been fact-checking some of the stuff he's been telling me, and some of it's not too far off. And what I like about Ryan is he's able to think for himself. So he'll read these stories, and then he'll fact-check them, and then he'll make his own... I don't want to say conspiracy. Conspiracy is a bad word. But he'll make his own prognosis on the situation, and then present me with, how he thinks it's going. And a lot of it makes a lot of sense, man. So I can't wait to have him on the show. And when he comes on, if you're available, I'll have you come in, too, and we'll have a good discussion about it. I'll let the two of you talk about it. It's good stuff. At the same time, I'm trying to get some... I have a couple friends who are more on the left-wing side. I'd like to get them in as well and talk to them about it and get perspective from the other side. Anyway, so to get back on topic, we were talking about guns, and you mentioned that you just recently put a gun on layaway. So what kind of gun is it? What is it?
It's called a Beretta PX4 Storm Inox.
And that's a handgun?
Yes.
Okay. What's the caliber on it?
It's 9mm. They have it in 40 Smith & Wesson, or 40 S&W. I've been looking up a lot of YouTube videos, mostly YouTube channel called the Yankee Marshal. If you're into guns, it's a really good channel to go to. He's got a lot of product reviews, stuff about concealed carry, stuff like that. It's a really good channel to watch, and there's a good amount of humor in there too.
Oh, really?
He'll talk seriously, whatever, and he'll have funny captions on there. Usually, you have little penis jokes and stuff like that, or whatever.
Send me a link on Facebook, and link my dad in that too, because he would like to check that out. So he does product reviews. Do they show him film him shooting the guns and checking the patterns and all that stuff?
Every so often he'll do a gun review on something, but that's not very often. But he's working on lately he's been working on a series of... Actually, what's weird is he's 98% handguns. He only has a handful of rifles. So lately what he's been doing is doing a series of videos on showing off the guns that he has by different manufacturers, like Smith & Wesson.
Does he do Glock? Glock's one of the more popular brands as well.
It might be coming up later on, but he's a revolver guy, revolver fan.
Oh, okay.
And that's how it got me started and wanting to conceal carry. You look at a revolver, it's a really nice look.
They are. I mean, it's cool, the classic look. It makes you think of a gunslinger, a cowboy.
Or a Dirty Harry, as he always...
Dirty Harry. Right, he had the big 44 mag, right?
Yeah, because this guy's in his 50s or whatever, and he grew up like those detective shows and all that. And that's what everybody had. It was a Smith & Wesson J-frame.
Yeah. That's cool. Does that guy, what's his name again?
The Yankee Marshal.
Cool. Now, does he,
I think he was.
Does he hunt or anything, or does he do it just strictly as
he's an
hobby?
He's an ex-cop.
Oh, okay. Does he target shoot or anything like, I should say professionally? Does he, like, no?
I don't believe so.
So he's just doing it for fun. It's a hobby. It's a good thing. That's cool.
It's a good place to go for like just informational stuff.
Yeah. If you want to buy a gun, it's a good place to get a couple of good reviews. Like, he's a trusted guy. He knows his shit.
And it talks about different, he might say, he also does talks about, does having a gun on you make you a target? Does it make you an active threat? And stuff like that.
That'd be a good topic to talk about on a podcast someday.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into it right now. Now you said that's where you got the recommendation for the gun that you picked up?
Yeah, because he's done probably at least half a dozen videos on just that gun, different modifications he's done on it, what he likes about it, what he doesn't like about it, stuff like that.
What does he like about, like, give me the review. Like, why did you choose that gun? Like, what did he say that?
It's a good price range for a polymer gun. It's listed for $700, but I was able to find it cheaper. It has different models. It has certain models have a rotating barrel on it. So instead of having the slide that comes back, whatever, the barrel rotates. So what that does, it helps to absorb some of the recoil.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen a gun like that. I'm a big fan of guns. I've always liked guns, but I don't study guns. I mean, I worked at a gun shop for like a year and a half. But yeah, I worked at Guns Galore in New Gallery back when I was in high school. But it was, that place is mostly rifles. It was about hunting there. Anybody that come in, and fishing as well, because we sold bait and tackle and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like with me for forever. I was always getting surplus guns. It's like I got a Yugoslavian SKS, a Romanian AK-47 variant, Russian Mosin Nagant, and the two handguns I have are both surplus. They're Curio and Relic, means they're made about at least 50 years or older. I think the one revolver I have is from 1939. It's Russian.
Yeah?
$79 for it.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's fully functional and everything?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it?
Yeah, these guns are cheap. Ammo's cheap. That's why I bought them.
Now, are these reliable guns, though? I mean, these are older guns.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not going to blow up in your face one day.
The ammo you might be some concern, but they have the primer on them. That's the part that actually ignites the main charge.
That's where the hammer hits the back of the bullet. It ignites the charge, lights the powder.
Or was I? But the only thing with the primers that they use on that kind of surplus ammo is it has salts in it, so it's slightly corrosive. So you just got to spend a little extra time and effort on cleaning out your barrel or cleaning out the inside of it.
One problem I've read and seen, and I think I saw this like on Pawn Stars or one of those shows, is older guns. And 1939, you said 39, right?
Yeah.
That's really not an old air gun. Like, it's not pre-1900. The steel wasn't as strong, and it might not be able to handle today's ammunition. Is that a problem with that particular gun? Like, can it handle the high-powered ammo of today?
No.
It can't?
No, or I mean, it can't.
It's not a problem, you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was something I've read before and saw, and like I said, I think I saw that on Pawn Stars and then looked it up. But
yeah, because you got to figure the tolerances are a little bit different.
Right.
On the parts as opposed to, turn of the century or even going who knows how long.
It doesn't even have to be that far back, and I'll give you an example. I have a shotgun upstairs. It's a break action single shot 12 gauge. I found it in this house whenever we moved in. It belonged to the previous owner of the house. It was just leaning in the back of the storage room back here, and I looked it up, and it was you know what? I can't think of the Armory off the top of my head, but it wasn't a major. It wasn't like Springfield or anything like that. It wasn't Winchester. It was some mom and pop's Armory, and I looked it up, and it was a gun that was manufactured on the cheap from the 30s and the 40s, just a single barrel shotgun. And I thought, man, this thing is cool. It was clean. I mean, it needed wiped down and stuff, but you could tell it hadn't really been shot very much. And I thought it'd be cool to take it out and fire it just to make sure it works, and I would just use it as an extra gun for protection. I could leave like in my closet loaded, ready to go, and if somebody ever invades, I have it right there. Because it's a little bit smaller and shorter and stockier than like my regular 12 gauge. So I looked it up, and they said, do not put high brass in this thing. Do not use modern shells if you can, because it was made out of inferior steel, and it would just blow apart if I put like high brass bullets in, or high brass shells, I should say. So I was wondering if handguns ever have that issue. And I'm sure if you went out and got like an 1875 Dragoon or something like that and tried to shoot a modern bullet, it probably wouldn't work. But I guess it's just something that concerns me a little bit with an older weapon is that sort of thing. I mean, you don't want it blowing up in your hand and in your face.
Yes,
that would be bad.
That would be bad.
Very bad.
But it's like the Russian Mosin Nagant that I have. It's a standard issue Russian rifle during World War II. The surplus ammo was made in 1984. So a lot of the surplus stuff, ammo, whatever, will tell you where it was produced, what year it was produced, and you can even look on the rim on the
back of the
and you can even find out what arsenal or where it was manufactured.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it'll have like a code, like a
stamp code on there.
Cool. Now you're buying that gun. You have other guns, and you were telling me you were thinking about, or you're going to get a concealed carry permit.
Yes.
So like that's something I've thought about doing in the future too. I don't know much about what to do though. What do you have to do? Like, what are the steps to get a concealed carry permit?
Well, first of all, you need to fill out the form for it.
Obviously.
I forget exactly what the website is, but if you just look up, concealed carry for Pennsylvania or whatever, you go on there. I think it's a PDF file. You fill out the application, and then you take it up to your sheriff's office, or in our case, it would be
probably the courthouse in
Beaver,
which is 2 blocks away from here.
Yeah, you need to have, I believe, 2 references. I've asked around. I haven't heard of any if there's any requirements for your references or anything like that. I would think just as long as they have a clean background or something.
Yeah, so if I used my dad as a reference and you as a reference. No family?
No family members.
Okay, well that makes sense. What kind of sucks about that though is the only people that have ever shot guns with me, other than my friend Terry, who's no longer with us, was my family members. My dad, my uncles, my sister, the only other people that ever shot with me. So if they call the references and ask questions like, have you ever shot guns with Jeff? Is he responsible with guns? That sort of thing. And I don't know if that's the kind of question they'd ask, but the only people they'd be able to ask who'd be able to properly answer would be family members. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I don't really know whether or not they would even bother.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I would find it hard to believe that they would go by just a criminal background check.
Well, yeah, but what's weird is they don't ask. I haven't come across anything. It's like saying that you have to take any kind of
course.
Any kind of safety course or training course and how to conceal carry or anything like that. Or
that would be one good thing for me is I took a hunter safety course when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And that's required in Pennsylvania if you want to hunt game. And I'm pretty sure my dad still has the certificate for it.
Well, that's one thing.
I would have that, and I'm sure that would help.
That's one of the things that the Yankee Marshal talks about in some of his videos is how some instructors will teach you this and others will teach you that, and it's kind of hard to.
It's not standardized.
It's
not like getting a college degree where you're taught.
Refers to them as the tactitards.
Tactitards.
Yes,
that's a good term. I like that.
Yes.
So, so you fill out the form, you have a couple references on there. Obviously, they do a background check, because if you have any sort of criminal history, they're not going to let you have a permit.
I don't know what, I think, you got paperwork, whatever.
Well, any sort of felony, I would imagine you wouldn't get.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had misdemeanors. I mean, I've had misdemeanors, I've gotten busted for trespassing and shit like that. I don't think they're going to...
Mailbox baseball.
Yeah, I've done that too. I don't think that I'm going to get any sort of flack over those sort of...
Yeah, it's like I had a warrant for my arrest for a failure to pay a parking citation. Or driving citation.
Right. They'll
I just slid on some ice, whatever, and slammed into hillside. He said I was speeding. Yeah, this is 5 o'clock in the morning in the snow. Constable comes by. I have a warrant for your arrest. I just woken up from a nap.
It's the Elmer Fudd showed up again. so the constable shows up, or sheriff, or whoever shows up at your house. You have a warrant. Okay.
I have a warrant for your arrest. I'm like, oh, well, I can pay it right now. Okay, that's fine. I go upstairs, sign out the check, hand it to him. Like, okay, you have a good day, sir. And that was it. And I went back to my nap. A couple speeding tickets,
Yeah, I can't imagine
busted with an expired registration once. That's it.
I know people that have permits that I know have had. Well, I won't say shouldn't. I will say though that I know people that have had legal issues in the past, but not felons. Obviously, if somebody's been in prison for a felony charge, they're not going to give you a license to carry.
It's like one of the guys I used to go shooting with. He has one. Doesn't Josh have one?
Yeah.
Or did he? Or, I know he did at one time.
He did, yeah. My cousin, Brandon, has one. My friend Jason has one. One or two other people. I can't think off the top of my head, but I know a few people with concealed carry permits. And all those people, like I said, none of them are felons, but I do know that they've had, speeding tickets and shit like that. So,
yeah, it's just...
Obviously, that
the main reason I don't want to get into concealed carry is I don't live in a very... No, you don't live in a dead-end neighborhood, but
yeah, right.
Just the fact that you got all these shootings going around that, it's like... Oh, they came in there with an assault rifle. Oh, they're going to do this and doing that. It's like, yeah, and if one person would have stood up with a gun would have taken him down before any of that would have happened.
I don't want to say that it happens more often than not, but you do hear stories once in a while. And once again, a lot of it's from like the conservative websites, or like Fox News or one of those, but you will hear stories once in a while of, a man walks into a convenience store and tries to rob the old lady behind the counter, and she pulls out a freaking Glock and points it in the guy's face, and he runs away. I mean, disaster averted.
One of the best videos I ever seen, it was a guy walks into a beer distributor. That's one thing to tell you. It's like, that's not a good choice.
Yeah.
Goes in there, pulls a gun on the guy. Guy grabs his gun, slams it down on the table, pulls out his gun, and sticks it in the perpetrator's mouth.
Wow.
Turns out this guy was former hand-to-hand combat, 2 tours in Iraq.
So he knows what he's doing.
Yes. You picked the wrong Marine.
He's a professional.
But another good channel to watch if you're interested in concealed carry and being prepared is another one called Active Self-Protection. It'll have a ASP logo, whatever, and it shows the video security camera footage.
Yeah, closed circuit television footage. Yes.
It'll show
CCTV.
Video clips of different types of scenarios. It'll show it in real time. Then it'll go back and it'll go step by step, and it'll tell you what was done.
Yeah, they'll dive
what happened, what he should have done, what happened here, and it'll teach you lessons from there.
I've seen some pretty good videos, actually pretty recently, because this whole situation in America with the police right now is really effed up, but it's also fascinating, and I've been reading up about it.
And it also tells you how quickly things can change.
Right, like the snap of a finger could be the difference between life or death.
Yeah, there's one where it was 2 cops come into a domestic disturbance, and they're in there. There's like sheriff's department, and all of a sudden you hear the slide racking. They turn the light, and there's a guy with a gun pointing right at him. And boom, boom, boom. And they put him down.
Wow.
And the guy goes down, he's groaning. He's like, "You shot me." He's like, "That will teach you to point a fucking gun at us."
Right.
And it's like, you point a gun at a cop. They are trained to shoot.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Whether it is a fake gun or object.
There are stories of cops who had toy guns pointed at them, and they had to use lethal force. And
they shot a 12-year-old a couple years ago, whatever,
with an airsoft gun.
It does not matter.
Yeah, he shouldn't have pointed it at a cop.
Somebody in the neighborhood reported somebody walking around with a gun, waving it around. He was treating it like a real gun. Cops responded, pulled the gun on the cop shot him. And I even left a comment on those videos.
Did the kid die?
Yes.
Okay.
I have no sympathy for that.
I don't either. I mean, I have sympathy for the kid's family. Obviously, that's a tough situation. But yeah, you're right. The kid was breaking the law. If the cop sees that kid and he turns around and he points that gun, I don't care if it has the little orange tip in the end of it.
You're not going to see that tip.
You're not in that quick of the amount of time.
Yes.
It's not like they're a mile away and walking up towards him and seeing it eventually. You know what I mean? You're right, exactly right. It's all about instinctual stuff. Just doing it right then, right now to prevent. For all they know, it could have been a real gun. You know what I mean? And if that kid turns around and shoots that cop, then 2 lives are gone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, you're actually right. And just real quick, what I wanted to say was, with the cop thing, I found some really good videos that they use as tutorials for police officers of things that go right and things that go wrong. And one that I saw, it was from, like, the late 90s, the video itself, but basically a cop, he made this mistake. It was a new cop, a young cop. He was by himself in his cruiser, standard traffic stop. Pulls over a pickup truck. This guy immediately jumps out of the truck and starts screaming at the cop, calling him a motherfucker and telling him I ain't doing shit. It looked pretty obvious that he was probably drunk or high or something. And the cop's just pointing the gun at him, telling him, get back in the car. He didn't tell him to get down. He told him to get back in the car. And he's calling for backup. The guy gets back in the car, screaming, yelling, comes out with a fucking shotgun, and a gun battle ensues. And it's all right there on the dash cam. And the guy ended up killing the cop. The cop died. He gets in his truck and speeds away. They ended up catching him, and he was sentenced to death. I want to say it was like Georgia or something like that. That's a situation that you were going along with, where the cop made the bad decision, and it ended up in a gunfight, and the shotgun got him. You know what I mean? Shots were fired both ways. I mean, and I'll link you the video. It's very, very interesting, but it's also it's kind of tough to watch.
Yeah, it's like an Active Self-Protection channel. There's another playlist of where the victim is killed. Now, if you do watch those videos, do keep that in mind. It'll tell you whether or not, or it'll tell you how it ends. It's like that recent one where the guy was, everyone was saying, it's like, oh, he was boxed in. The cop was coming in from the front, and another cop coming from the side. He was backing towards the vehicle. Well, then why was his right hand in his pocket the whole time?
If you're backing away from the cops and you are supposedly doing what the cops told you.
You are refusing to show your hands. You are refusing to follow the commands given to you.
The first thing a cop tells you is to put your hands where I can see them.
Cop pulls you over, you get pulled over, stay in your car. Do not get out of your car.
Now,
if you get out of your car, he tells you to get back in your car, you get back in your car.
I agree. That was part of that video I was just talking about, too. They said the cop made the mistake by telling the guy to get back in his vehicle. If he wouldn't have got back in his vehicle, if the cop would have pointed the gun at him and told him to get down, and the guy probably wouldn't have gotten down, it was already in his mind he was going to shoot this cop. But the protocol is for the cop to tell the guy, get on the ground right now. You're already out of the vehicle. Get on the ground. He already could see his hands. The fact that he told the guy to get back in his vehicle, I think, kind of caught, it ended up catching the cop off guard. Now, I don't recall if he lowers his weapon or anything as he approaches the vehicle after the guy gets in. But the guy got back into the vehicle, grabbed the gun, and you couldn't see him grabbing the gun on the camera because it was inside of his truck. But as soon as he come out, you saw that gun, and the cop just immediately started firing and just flat out missed.
Yeah.
He just missed. And
that's one of the main, and also another one of the main lessons that active self-protection teaches you is usually the first person to get shots on target wins.
Yeah.
And that's one of them. You got a shotgun, you're more likely to hit, but
you're very likely to hit.
Shot placement.
It was, it wasn't like these guys were 100 yards away from each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 20 feet max from each other. I mean, it's a traffic stop, side of the highway. And it was a real unfortunate situation. Now, to get a little bit on what you were saying, yes, no doubt. When a cop tells you to do something, you do it, man. And if you don't do what the cop tells you, you need to live or die with the penalty for it. That being said, the big issue right now is, are the cops racist? Are they targeting black people? The majority of the cops, no. But, dude, there's no doubt in my mind that some of these ones recently, in the last year, some of these police killings, I do feel some of them are racist. I think that there's situations where the cops...
Also, I think it's just the fact that it's got the cops on edge.
That's exactly what I was... that was the point I was going to make.
Oklahoma.
And the one recently in Charlotte, I feel the same way. That just happened last week or 2 weeks ago.
Is that the one I was just talking about?
Mr. Scott, I think was his name.
Yeah, that was it. Because the one pulled his gun, the other one pulled a taser, just like in Oklahoma.
Right. And everybody was saying that, why didn't they just tase him? Well, for one, they were a little out of range to tase, and I think they did fire the taser at him.
They tased first. I know they had a female cop, then she fired.
Was it the female cop that fired and killed him?
Yeah, she's the one who fired the fatal shot.
Okay. Because I saw the dash cam and the chest cam video, but I couldn't tell from the video who was who. And you could see the cop who shot and killed him, but I couldn't tell
that it was a woman. That's what's nice about the dash cam, the body cam, but it's like, and even cell phone videos, but just there always seems to be this blank spot that you cannot see.
It tends to happen off camera.
The whole, or majority of the story.
That's part of the conspiracy now with the whole, I don't want to say Black Lives Matter, because I think that a lot of the Black Lives Matter is, they're trying to do the right thing, and there's just so many people.
No, they're not. I do not believe so, but that's not.
We'll save that for another day. But,
wait till your buddy gets over here.
Yeah, he would be good to talk about with that. But what I'm trying to get at is, I do feel that a percentage, not a large percentage, but a percentage of these killings lately have been racially motivated. And I don't mean it like in a Rodney King way. Rodney King was a completely racially motivated thing. It was proven. Even though the cops got away with it, it was proven.
Was that 5-on-1? Yeah,
there's no need for that. But that being said, this whole thing now, I think that it's, yes, cops on edge. Cops are scared. Cops all over the country right now are scared for their lives. And it's because of these riots and these people and what they're saying they're doing to police. And there are police getting killed.
And you had that one who shot 5 cops in one day.
Yeah. So, I understand why the cops are that way. But here's what I think. Some of these police officers who ended up killing some of these African Americans, okay, and once again, let me preface, not all of them. Very few of them. I think that there's a couple bad apples who look at a person and they automatically make the judgment, this guy's acting shady, this guy's black, I'm going to pull my gun, and if I see anything at all that just makes me even have an inkling that he has a gun, I'm going to shoot him. That's racist. Because if it's the same situation and it's me or you or average white Joe, they're not going to have that predisposition. They're not going to have that judgment as much. Now, that's not to say that they wouldn't shoot that guy if they thought he had a gun or if it looked like he had a gun or if he does have a gun. I think those cops would have made the same decision if, instead of Mr. Scott, I think his name was Keith Scott. Was that his name?
Yeah, Keith Scott.
If Keith Scott was a white guy and the exact same thing happened, I'm not convinced that they wouldn't have shot him dead. I'm just not convinced. I'm not saying they wouldn't have. I'm not saying they would have. I'm just not convinced that they wouldn't have shot him dead in that exact situation because they had that predisposition. They knew this guy. They knew he was a criminal. They were in a bad neighborhood. His wife and kids were screaming the whole time, motherfucking the cops when it happened. Did you see some of that video?
I saw
the phone video from his wife.
Sister.
Or his sister, yeah.
Yeah, his sister was coming out and telling him stop.
Completely out of line she was. When the cop tells you to get the hell out of here, you get the hell out of here.
Isn't that whenever she also said that family said he had a seizure?
Yeah, I don't believe that for
Bullshit.
a bit. I think this guy...
Show me his prescription for phenobarbital or Depakote.
I'm with you on that.
I have epilepsy.
I'm not defending...
I know what it's like to have seizures. That's the medications I'm on. Show me the prescription.
Yeah, and I'm not defending this guy either. He didn't follow directions. If he lays down on the pavement like they told him to, he's alive today. No doubt in my mind.
If you're innocent and you feel like your rights getting violated, you live another day, you get it settled out in court.
Right.
At least you live.
Don't argue with the police is what I'm saying. But that once again, I don't think they would have been as quick to fire at him because, I mean, I think the cops claimed they saw a weapon, but a weapon was found. But now everybody's saying the weapon's planted. I don't buy it for a minute. That being said, they were very quick to shoot him. They shot him before you ever saw any weapon on the cameras. It's a tough situation, and I think it is because I think that it was a female cop. Said I think that she had a racial predisposition. She had it in her mind. Hey, this is a black guy. I'm scared of him. And hey, you know what? I'm a white guy, and I grew up going to school with a lot of African Americans that weren't exactly, upstanding citizens. People who, growing up as a kid, were shady. I was scared of a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I've gotten into fistfights with some of these kids.
I think I went to school with 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean,
I never talked to any
I went
of
to a
them.
school where there was maybe 30% of the population was African American, and I was friends with almost all of them. Okay, so anybody listening, I don't want you to think that I'm racist, but there were certain guys that I was scared of. And when I saw them, I pointed out the fact they were black, and I thought, this is somebody I'm not going to fuck with. And, that's just how it is. And I don't think that's racist. I think that's just connecting the dots. And a lot of people say that, like Mexicans, Hispanics are the same way. A lot of people are scared of Hispanics because you associate Hispanics with gang culture. Okay? Maybe not so much in this part of the country, but definitely out west, California, Texas, New York, even. It's ingrained in your brain. Not a white person's brain, in everybody's brain. It's an instinct. It's an instinctual, a primitive thing that when you see somebody of a certain look, a certain demeanor, a certain attitude, that you are going to be scared of them. And I think the color of the skin is a very, very easy thing to judge and look at very quickly. I mean, if you walk past a gentleman who's 6 foot tall, a white guy and a black guy, the black guy's going to be the first one you spot. For us, because we're white guys. It's different than what we're normally seeing. It's something that it's instinctual in your brain. You don't mean to be like that. You don't consider yourself a racist. You're not a racist. It's just something that stands out to you. And you have this disposition from your previous knowledge, your previous experiences in life, and from TV and the news, that, that's somebody you're going to watch yourself around a little bit more than somebody else. And that's just how I feel. And I'm not saying that I do that all the time, but it does come, you do it automatically without thinking about it. These police officers, though, have to make these judgments in the snap of a finger. They have to do it right now. And they're making judgments based on what I just said. Based on, hey, I grew up knowing black people and a lot of these black people.
I have to make a snap decision, because either way, somebody's not going home to their family.
That's right. And they have to defend themselves, and these victims, quote victims, they're not doing themselves any favors by not listening to the police. So that's why I think that, like, this woman here in North Carolina, I'm not saying she's racist. I'm just saying this is a potential thing, that she made the decision that this was an African American gentleman. She's scared of him, and even if there was no gun, she thought she saw a gun. Acting erratically and somewhat irrationally. And that's how a lot of these situations are happening.
Commands.
Right. Thinking more with her heart and not her brain, and just making a bad decision. I think she was also
a new cop also.
That's possible. And it's not even that situation. It could have been any of this number. The Michael Brown one was a real big one. That was the one, I think, out in St. Louis that happened 2 years ago. That one sounded real fishy to me. But, it's...
Well, that's
I
why
think
you
that's
look
what
at
it comes down to.
2 independent autopsies.
Yeah, there you go. So, like... that's where I'm at with it. I think that a lot of these, I think the majority of cops are trying to do the right things. They get into the policing business for the right reasons. A lot of them are former military who, that's all they know. And those are the ones that are more likely, I think, to make the better decisions.
One of my best friends is former Air Force. He just came into became a cop in the last year. So this whole situation is getting really near and dear to my heart. So
And
I will always,
exactly.
I always support the cops.
No, and you should. We should support the cops because they do a job that nobody else wants to do. It's a tough job. The only people that have it harder than police in America are military overseas who are American. Because the American military right now is the most hated group on the planet by other countries. It just are. Nobody wants to see American military.
Either they want to kill you or they have no respect for you.
That's what they think.
Overseas, pretty much.
You can't blame a lot of them either. You know what I mean? When you go back and you look at Vietnam, we did a lot of bad shit in Vietnam. We killed a lot of people that shouldn't have been killed, and it is what it is. But, that's the rest of the world sees that, and they think, oh, man, this military, they're going to come to our town and just murder everybody. They think that, because of that. Is that going to happen? No. But you can sort of see their side of the ball on it. Are they right? No. Because the military's there to protect them.
Media portrayals.
Media portrayals has a lot to do with it.
Portrayals.
And not just American media. I mean, Al Jazeera is a good example.
Yes.
Overseas in the Middle East. So, just to wrap this whole thing up and so we can get out of here, I was just saying that the cops are in a real bad space right now. It's really tough for them to make right decisions because they're working with snap judgment. And yes, they're trained in snap judgment. I mean, that's what a cop's job is snap judgment. But they're so scared right now of the African American community that they are making bad decisions, poor decisions, and it's coming off as racist. Even if a cop isn't racist, there's always going to be that thought of racism. It's just there. It's ingrained in us. And I know the Civil Rights Amendment happened 50 years ago. It's going to be another 50 years before racism's really, really gone from America.
Racism will continue as long as people continue to talk about it.
I agree. That being said, racism...
You know who said this? A black man.
Yeah? Who was it?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's a good quote. He's a respectable guy. It's completely true as long as people talk about it. But here's another thing, too, just real quick. With the racism is, up until, say, 50, 75 years ago, racism was a very wide open thing. It was widespread. It was generally accepted in America. Civil rights movement comes, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, all that stuff goes down. Those people did wonderful yeoman's work for race. Racism became an underground thing. And now, if you're racist, it's considered an underground society almost. Racism isn't on TV or in restaurants anymore like it was 50 years ago. There are no Jim Crow laws anymore. If you're a racist, you're a closet racist. That's what you are. People who are openly racist, very rarely do you see them on TV. You might see them making videos on YouTube or, that sort of thing, but you don't see wide open racism on TV anymore from white people. Since this whole thing with the cops, you see a lot of it from African Americans. A lot of racist African Americans who hate white people. I don't blame them for hating white people because they've been mistreated, or they feel they've been mistreated. But that being said,
you're not exactly doing anything to improve your
they're not doing anything
situation
exactly
in your life.
That's the point I was trying to make.
That's going to be part 2.
They're not. Yeah, a lot of these people they're not doing things that are going to help their situation, and that's where I'm at with the Black Lives Matter thing. We'll save that for another day. This was an awesome podcast. Thanks, Nick. Talk about this more next time, and take care, everybody.
Later.